Yes, people, good morning. Welcome to the Transfer View. Welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I do not look normal because real life technology happened. I can dress it up. Real life F-ups, real life. Normally, everything's just there. It's plugged in. You just press on, so it just should work. But when things start going wrong and you have to restart and you have to refresh, cameras and capture cards don't want to do what they're supposed to do. You have to go back to the 1080p Logicam, which is what I'm doing right now, and get Owen to just touch, do some brushings and some little light adjustments just to get the show to run, because all of my equipment doesn't want to do its job. So real life technology. This is the most
real life. It's always real life technology. It's always real life technology. It is.
Other times it's just like, oh, that's
It
a
is.
little thing that happens to most people. This one is the real life technology. I'm back to 1080p, mate. Not even in 4K. Even in 4K. I'm looking in the wrong lens. I'm looking at the one behind that, which is one that's supposed to work, and now I've got to look in this one.
It's one of my favorite things because most mornings there is some kind of technology that Flex is fighting with, and I just hear the grumble going, I just think this doesn't work. What's this good to do? Doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. And as he just said right there, in an ideal world, he just wants to be able to press a button and it turns on.
On, and connect. All I should have to do is press on. Actually, not even on my laptop because I leave it charged. Just open the lid and it's on.
Hey,
put my fingerprint, log in.
Someone's saying you're worse than KG with technology. I tell you what, because I think it's quite close actually. In the chat, who was worse with technology? 1 for KG, 2 for Flex. Who's worse with technology?
A lot of streams on though, hasn't he?
Wow.
Where he thinks it's off.
I think it's quite close.
That one.
I think it's quite close.
It is close. I would say it's very neck and neck. But if I'm honest, I'm not just saying it because it's him. I'd just edge him. He left his whole thing on and had a conversation with his wife, man. Didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
That's a decider. Like, we're neck and neck, but then he's just edged out ahead.
But then the funny thing is, I remember one where you did a KG and did might have been 10 minutes of a stream at the beginning, just talking with the mic was off. That was one of the ones I wasn't there. Yeah. Yeah.
I think
wasn't that long ago actually as well.
Really?
It was one of the ones where I wasn't on it because I was doing something or whatever, and and then it was like, yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm not here playing down my thing because I'm very old school. I like to just turn it on.
Zayda says Flex Flintstone.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is. But I'm honest about it. I'm honest. I am very old school. I just like things to work. I don't do well with all loads of things. I'm old school, me. And I'm learning. I need to get better at that. I'm going to upskill myself better. Well, upskill myself better. I've bought the thing. I've turned it on. It doesn't work. So,
Yeah, but
I don't know. Anyway, we have got a show to do. A big show with more stuff happening. Just as we was in the full view last night, the jam-packed view last night, which was really good. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I had everything from Cam in an airport, just wanted to just drop in for vibes. Steph was in there. She made a good appearance. Obviously, Dylan made his first appearance. Marcel was Marcelling. KG was excited. Obviously, good vibes. John was bringing the good vibes. It had everything. But there was a bit of a general consensus from the likes of Marcel and Steph that were basically pushing back and saying, listen, we should have done more by now. Really. And, the pushback was, what real more do you think we could have done by now? Next day, new guy in again. There's just more and more change constantly. Let's get into it, Owen. What's happened?
Yes, so as you mentioned, literally just as we were finishing up last night, it was reported first by David Ornstein from The Athletic that Manchester United are working to appoint Christopher Vivell on an initial short-term basis to help with the summer transfer window. It is the latest step being taken by the Old Trafford club to build out their sporting structure under the new co-owner, Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Ornstein continued by saying previously employed by RB Leipzig and most recently Chelsea, although in fairness he wasn't at Chelsea for very long. Vivell will lend expertise around talent ID and player recruitment. The 37-year-old German would bring with him to United a knowledge of operating in a multi-club model, which is expected to be explored by the new look hierarchy moving forward, of course, with the links to Nice. Now, Florian Plettenberg then took it one step further, saying he understands it's a done deal. Christopher Vivell is set to join Manchester United with immediate effect as the new director of recruitment. All that's missing is the work permit for the 37-year-old, the former technical director from Chelsea, with many options, but he decided to join Manchester United on a short-term contract. Vivell will help in terms of transfers in the next 2 windows, as per David Ornstein. So it looks like this short-term contract is possibly just for a season or just for the summer and winter transfer windows. Don't have the full details in that. Fabrizio Romano then came to the party this morning by saying Christopher Vivell becomes new Manchester United director of recruitment. Short-term deal signed and also green light shortly over work permit. Vivell has already accepted the proposal. After Chelsea experience, he wants Premier League return and he's signing for Manchester United. So already now, Flex, we're talking about this, all of these people in place. You're looking at Omar Barada, 13th of July. What's that? 11 days away until he starts his job. We know Dan Ashworth is starting immediately, whether that is today, tomorrow, end of the week. He is already through the door. Jason Wilcox, he's already started. We've now got a new director of recruitment. All of the pieces are firmly in place, but apparently, got to be moving quicker. Got to be moving
faster, mate. Faster. More.
A bit quicker. Now, once again, it's very exciting news. It's a change to the hierarchy at Manchester United that is desperately needed change. Now, what is interesting about this one is, for all of the talk we're saying about, with Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox and Omar Barada going, well, look, they're through the door now, but this is still going to take some time, as Marcel would say. Trust the process. There is a process here. With this
doesn't seem like he's trusting it much.
Exactly. With this guy, it's interesting because his contract is for this window and the next window. So there is not really this sort of like, oh, it's going to take a bit of time. It's for the summer and the winter. Move quickly and see what happens. It's a short-term contract. It's only for these 2 windows. And then possibly, I suppose, if he does really well, maybe they'll figure something out. But this is for the immediate. This is for right now.
Yeah, I feel it's... I'm not going to lie, I didn't know like a huge lot about him. I saw that he was at Chelsea for a short time and done most of his stuff within the RB setup. And you see some of the players that he was involved with, which is good. The likes of, as KG says, Addy Ames, Benjamin Sesko, Erling Haaland, obviously, Szoboszlai, Haidara, Minamino, Keita, etc., Gvardiol, Angelino, Timo Werner. But yeah, so within that RB group, obviously some really good players there. What I think more away from that, it's more interesting that INEOS have got him in on that short-term thing to say, listen, we are behind schedule a little bit. Dan's in now. Omar's coming in 13th. Like, we just all hands on deck. Like, we want as much sort of help with this, with from people who that is their specialist, that is their specialism, that is their job, to help us through these next 2 windows. It just shows that they're really taking these 2 windows seriously. Again, you have to give the other side. You have to give the other side, because that's literally what Steph and Marcel were talking about yesterday. And although there were some bits I didn't agree with them, like I was like, I don't think we could have done much more by now. I did agree with the general thing of like, yeah, they have done what they said they're going to do. Like, we've come in from a bad place. Let's not just get the pom-poms out and, like you said, start doing cartwheels down the street when, all we're doing is getting what we should have had a very long time ago. There has to be the balance of saying, well, they have done that fairly quickly. Fair play to them. Let's see what they do versus, well, I'll wait. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
But it shows to me that they're taking the window seriously, and it gives us a bit of confidence. We'll see how they execute deals, but it gives us at least confidence that now we have proper football people who are experienced in this specific area of football conducting our business. Now, hopefully now, which is all we can do now, is hope that transpires to getting proper targets for good money, on good contracts that are really good players. We don't know that bit yet. We have to wait and see. But the people, like you said, Owen, people that we hated, hate maybe a strong word, people that we could clearly see weren't good at their jobs,
wanted to leave,
and we wanted to leave, apart from the Glazers, are obviously gone. They're gone, and they've been replaced quite quickly in this window when we didn't really think that would happen, especially Dan Ashworth.
Yeah.
Now this guy, we didn't really think these people. We were like, but really for this window, it's going to be a bit tight. They've only just got here. No, they've like gone full steam ahead and tried to get as many people through the door as possible, as well as Eric's coaching staff, which is yet to be announced, which is going to be. So they've changed a hell of a lot. Hell of a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, I was talking about this a bit more on Playback last night. Be sure to join us on Playback as well. Links in the it's pinned in the chat. It's also in the video description. I'll be doing a Euros match on there today too. But I was talking about last night, and I was sort of reflecting a bit on the full view, and I was like, oh, maybe sometimes when you go, oh, maybe I didn't get the sort of the point across the way I wanted to get it across a little bit. I was kind of reflecting on that a bit, and I thought, well, and this is where I think it's maybe I haven't explained it myself very well with it, is when, so this news that's come out the last few days, I think that is room to be cautiously optimistic. And I think maybe nowadays, when you are optimistic about Manchester United, because it's been so bad at a structural level for a decade plus, even longer, really, ever since the Glazers came in, but because the structure's been so bad that when you sort of say, oh, this is good news, the initial reaction to it all the time is, but we need to do this, and but the players, and we need to get these players out. We need to bring these players in, and it's sort of like, well, yes, that's agreed, but there is room to be cautiously optimistic, I think, with this, because these are also things that we've asked for. This isn't stuff that we haven't wanted. We have wanted football people to be making football decisions at Manchester United. We have wanted these people to be replaced. When in the past, when we were linked to, you know, your Paul Mitchells, whatever, we were like, this is great. We wanted a technical director. We wanted a director of football. We wanted a sporting director. We wanted a director of a group. Get them in. And now they're in. We're kind of like, all right, whatever, players. And it's like, well, again, it has to be bit by bit. It has to be piece by piece. And I think with the players, again, you have to allow the context. You have to allow sort of realize the situation. Like, obviously, they've spoken about it quite a lot in the media the last few days. There have been almost 2 deadlines. You know, I mean, there's deadline day that's way off in the you know, in whatever it is, 1st or 2nd of September, and there's almost like the first deadline day, which was the end of June for the PSR stuff. So clearly, a lot of clubs were waiting until July 1st for that. And then also, when it comes to other transfers, incomings and outgoings, there are 2 major international tournaments going on right now. Right now. One in Germany, one in, was it America? So, you know, it's like, it's going to be difficult. It's going to take some time to do those deals. I mean, players are going to be either participating, exiting, on holiday. Like, there is going to be a little bit of time. And I think that, you know, you have to judge on what they have done. And then once these deadlines are passed, then you can accurately judge them, you know, or maybe a bit less than that. So, for instance, I mean, Marcel said it last night a bit in passing, where he went, you know, they've done everything they've said they were going to do right now, and I went, well, that's good. I mean, even that's what we're not used to that. We're not used to, you know, everything they said they were going to do. We're going to change the sporting structure. We're going to put money into the training ground as part of the transaction. We're going to work on the stadium. That's ongoing. That's, again, that's they've done that. They've done that. Now, when it comes to the transfer window, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, come the end of the window, or maybe you can really start appropriately assessing the window. You could probably say once the season starts, you should probably have the majority of your business done by that point. Everything else should be a little bit extra. If someone became available, if something happened, you shouldn't be chasing your tail like we've done previously. So that's maybe the time you can start judging the window, but we certainly can't start judging it on the 2nd of July whilst 2 international tournaments are going on at the moment. That would be too much. So I think, again, it's not, like you said, it's not to say that we're back. It's not to say we're going to win the Premier League. It's not to say that if you're being cynical, you're not allowed to be. Of course you are. My goodness me, we're all scarred in this reality, but we also do have to be realistic with what we are, where we are, how long these things are going to take, and actually have some perspective to go, the amount of change that Manchester United have undergone in the space of 5 to 6 months in any company, in any business, is nothing short of like a revolution. Yeah. When your CEO has gone, a CEO going in any business is massive news. CEO is gone. Then you've got directors, multiple of them, you know, sporting director, technical director, a director of recruitment now. The CFO's gone too. You've got new members on the board with people that purchased in, and also the people that were brought in by INEOS. Like, that is massive, massive change for any club. And more technology.
When I said rip it up, You know, like the rip it up thing.
Yeah,
they ripped it up
as much as they could.
That area of
it.
it, yeah. They as much as was like physically possible within that time frame, they've ripped up a lot of it, and that, like I say, is something to relish. Is something to say, well, at the very least, we've got a new dawn. At the very least, we have something else that looking at going forward. We're like, well, that isn't the same as then. It isn't just because, you know, people are like, they're just the same as the Glazers. They're just this, or it's just the same. We ain't got no players yet. We ain't sold no one yet. Oh, player power.
Well, that was the other one, wasn't it, Flex? We're just going to, all we're doing is it's just totally Brexit, because we've brought in a Spanish CEO and now a German director of recruitment. But it's all we're doing is bringing in English people. You know what I mean? These sort of lazy narratives that really are just, they're just sort of, you know, bite-sized stuff.
And Jean-Claude Brock's on the board as well.
Yeah, exactly. Our interim CEO at the moment's French. So we're just totally Brexit. And you sort of go, well, but we're not. They're easy things to say, and they get engagement, and people go, oh, yeah, cool, because it's like catchy. But it's not true.
But break down, exactly. Break down what's actually happening versus what's not. And I think you're right. I think, and do you know what? It's not necessarily like trying to like get onto people who feel like this, because I actually want like you take a step back from the full view and just think, like, just take people's opinions in. Like, what are people's gripes? Like, there's social media and there's people say things for clicks and likes, or that's just not true or whatever. Then there's genuine people just don't know how to feel. I spoke to one of my friends yesterday and spoke to him a while, and was catching up about life, and then he was like, so anyway, Man United, I mean, I just want a football team again that I can just enjoy watching. And he goes, what do you think about all this, you know, changes? And I said my piece, and I was like, what do you think? He goes, yeah, it's all good, but I don't know, man, I'm not really happy with the links, like the players that we're getting. I was like, oh, okay, like, what do you mean? He was like, just, well, you know, he's quite slow. I'm not sure about that in the Premier League. Like, that's fine. Your justification of a player, of how you view the player, you're not definitely wrong, by the way. He's like, yeah, it's a bit slow. And he's like, and I don't know, the one next to Kobe, like, we need someone ball playing, and I need someone who can, like, just really physical. I'm not sure about Agate. I don't know. And that Zirkzee got, like, it was just like, okay, like, I don't really. And a lot of people, it just made me think, like, oh, like, a lot of people don't really know how to feel, because we really are actually in, and that's okay. We really are in a place whereby we're entering into, right, where it's completely different for us. Like, we've gone through spending big money on players who we know exactly who they are and what they are going to bring or can bring or will bring. But again, it doesn't quite happen. We've gone through spending big money on players we don't know about and wasting it. Now we're looking like we're going into a phase which I've called for: find value in the market. We might not necessarily know the name, but get your due diligence done. Think about the match for the club, the type of profile player, the age, the wages, the money. Might be a little bit less, but, you know, it's good for the future. We're into that territory now with new people doing it. And the truth is, we're just not quite sure how to feel. And I think that level of uncertainty is going to carry on naturally throughout the window. Even when we buy players, you know, if De Ligt holds up the shirt and he's the first signing through the window, it will be, well, yeah, we did need a centre back, but his injuries are bad. I don't know about this. And, you know, that's fine. If it's Ugarte, it's, well, he couldn't even make it a PSG, third choice, you know, wasn't starting all the big games. Someone's cast away. If he's that good, why can't he start for PSG over like Zaire Emery and stuff like that? And why is he not playing? If it's Zirkzee, it's just another youngster. He's only just got in the Netherlands squad because they had injuries. He was a late call up, hardly even played. I don't know. We're supposed to be closing the gap on City. Do me a favor. It will just shift, you know? And then there'll be the other half that'll be like, well, this is what we need. You know, we need this is a different direction. Let's see how it goes. We just don't know how to feel. And I think until all of the signings are in and we have a decent sample size of the season, I just don't think it's going to calm down until then.
Yeah, you know what it is? It's a start, isn't it? It's a start. And it's not the complete thing. It's not, my goodness me, it's not blind faith now. INEOS, they know exactly what they're doing, because you can't say that. We don't know. We don't know. And I think that, going back to your point about the links to the players, I think a lot of that probably does stem from, we're just used to, well, if Man United are going after him, it probably is some kind of an error. There's an error somewhere because
exactly
they've all been majority. Our hit rate is like 1%, which is maybe like Bruno Fernandes in the last day. You know what I mean? That's like our only player where you go, they've probably done all right since they've come in. That's again, our hit rate's really bad. So I think the assumption is when it is De Ligt, there must be it's injuries.
Something's
Why
wrong.
Bayern let go? Zirkzee, well, we've bought young players before. That can't be good. Agati, like you said, PSG don't want him, so that must mean something that's bad. Like,
mate, even if we got Elise Owen, it would be that's not the priority, and he had injuries last year.
Exactly. So I think that again,
Who
I think
can we
that's
get?
probably. I think that's probably where it comes from. So I think you know what I think the thing will be. Like we say about players that are performing not very well or what have you, is just if Man United get results, and they play well, that will settle things quite quickly. Not everything, because I don't think that's going to be possible in a year. Like there's a lot of trust that's been broken, over the course of. Remember back in the day, right? When Sir Alex Ferguson bought a player, you just went, "It's going to work out." And even if it didn't work out, you went, "Next one will work out." It's not like that anymore. It's not like that anymore. There is so much scrutiny. There is so much. This is going to fail for this reason, and I think again a lot of it is justified. So the only way to kind of overcome it is just to, again, see what they do, see who they bring in. Hopefully, Manchester United perform better this season, or at the very least, like we were saying last season, there are moments or there are things where we can buy into and go, yes, I can see it. Like it's not finished yet, but I can see that we are heading in the right direction because for the best part of 2 years, we have been in purgatory, haven't we? We have been stuck in the middle of the ocean with no current, not moving one way or the other, just in a fixed spot because of the takeover stuff, strategic alternatives, because of, with the season we just had, because of going on of like, who's manager going to be, all this kind of stuff, we have been stuck. So any kind of directional momentum is alarming because we're like, well, which way are we going? Are we going forwards? Are we going backwards? Are we in the same place? What are we kind of doing? So there is a bit of trepidation there, which I understand.
Yeah, a couple of super chats here and some housekeeping. We're just going to do that. Aminor, big up Aminor, always here every single morning. Says, was Cam drunk last night on Full View? Shameless. No, I don't. He was honestly. I know when Cam's drunk. I don't think he was drunk. He was just waiting for his plane and just.
I was just the dedication, by the way, to participating in that show. He is in a German airport.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. He was like,
"Well,
no, I'll come on," all that kind of stuff.
So I'm waiting for my flight anyway. So I like that.
I like the Full View. It was full last night, what I mean?
When it's full, it's good.
I like that. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
The fullest view. Amina also says, we also need a director of getting rid of players. And I think that's the bit what Marcel's touching on. I think where a lot of people are quite concerned. They just want to see who goes, because if a lot of these players stay and the squad becomes too bloated, which I can't imagine they'll let happen. But again, with player power and contracts, it's still going to be difficult to get rid of some. But people want to see players leave, and I don't know. I feel like we just got to be realistic. Of course, we want a lot of players to leave. But already, if you just think of the ones who are there, who you want to get off, who are at the top of that list, if you sort of go Casemiro, Maguire, McTominay, Eriksen, that's 4. People have put in Shaw into that, but he ain't going to go this year. Donny's gone, or will. That's 6. Who else am I missing? Lindelof, 7.
There's going to be,
Wan-Bissaka, but if Wan-Bissaka goes, he needs replacing. So that's 8. Like, there's a lot there, and we're not going to sell 9 players.
That's expectations, Hannibal. That's the expectation situation where it's like, when we've said this about Anthony in the past, where Man United are linked with a player, and you go, he's not going to come here. And then they go to another club, and we get annoyed. And you go, well, that's a little bit on you because you bought into that expectation when that was never going to happen. And you've set yourself up to be disappointed. With this, with the players moving on this season, I agree. You're looking at those ones. If you can move on a Casemiro, if you can move on, a McTominay maybe, or, move on a Maguire, one of those, or sort of maybe 2 of those, you'll go, right, that's a positive. But it's going to be difficult because, again, they're under long-term contracts and they're on big wages, and the power is firmly in their hands. And from from INEOS's point of view, they're like, well, if we were here, we wouldn't have done that deal. And that's just going to take time. They might have to leave on a free eventually because they might just go, I'm not going to get a better contract anywhere else. I'm not going to go anywhere. And in the day and age of PSR, clubs are looking at that going, we're not picking up that contract. Are you kidding me? No chance whatsoever. So that might be difficult. And if they don't go, some of them, I think we've also got to look at it not like, oh, total failure of the executives. They couldn't get rid of this guy. Well, who is going to pick Casemiro up when he's got 3 years left on a contract that's over 300k a week? It's going to be pretty difficult unless it's a Saudi club. And if Casemiro doesn't want to go to a Saudi club, we're kind of screwed in that regard. We saw it last season with Harry Maguire, didn't we?
Said no.
Bit close. He went, no. But then everyone involved just goes, well, there's nothing we can do then.
But then people here now, we're like, but no, you have to put him in the reserves, then make him leave. Like,
we did. We tried that with Jadon Sancho, and we got accused of cruelty.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And then also, if it's a sellable asset, again, this is why it's taken a while to get him off the books as well, because people know it's all come to the forefront, and you can't just discard a player. I mean, that was a specific situation that was untenable. But in terms of you just want a player to sort of lean towards leaving when they've got a year or two left, maybe more. It's just really hard. And again, this is we keep saying it since the past. This is what it is. So Ryan says, we demanded best in class. Do we have a best in class manager? Are we buying best in class talent? Do we play best in class football? Hoping Gallo, or Galore probably. Look.
That would take time.
We have to see, don't we?
We have to remember where we are. We haven't won a Premier League title for over a decade. We haven't competed for one since then as well. I know we finished second a couple of times. We weren't competing those years. We finished second. We weren't in a title race or anything like that. As far as the best in class talent, again, that's difficult to attract when you just finished 8th in the Premier League. I know you're Manchester United, but we're not in Europe. We're not in Champions League next season. Again, that will take time. And what we have done to try and overcome that in the past when we have failed is we tried to throw money at it. Big wages, big transfers. That will do it. But that's fine. And that's come back to bite us because as we've seen, that's not sustainable in the long term. We're not building on it. We're just doing patchwork. So those kind of things, the best in class talent or the best in class football, I don't know. I hope we do play better football next season.
Exactly. And what we are doing is creating a proper professional environment, which again is the start of where we have to go with this. We can't just go from where we are now to buying the best in class players. It has to be the process.
We're not going to get Mbappe. You know what I mean?
No,
we're in that conversation where we flex. I wonder why.
I hate that. Exactly. And I hate using that word process all the time. But like, this is now another process to gut out all of the shit that's been there and change it. Like this is a new process. And Ryan, I guess you're in that super chat. You're basically saying the answer to any of those questions, all of those questions, is basically no to every single one of them right now. And you're probably right now. But that's not to say that we won't be, and that's not to say when Arsenal were getting better, when Liverpool were getting better. You have to wait. You have to let it be. You have to.
What did Sir Jim say? He said it's not a light switch. You can't become best in class overnight, can you?
No, of course not.
It's easy. It's easier to get, I would think, best in class executives. I mean, that's probably easier than getting best in class actual football players. What have you there? Because you can make them an attractive proposition. But for players, they care about winning trophies. Again, when Kylian Mbappe's contract was coming up, he wasn't thinking, Man United, whatever. He's going, I'm going to go Real Madrid. I'm going to win the Champions League 10 times in a row. Look at
Turkish. He was thinking about Arsenal.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Look at Lenny Euro as well. He's like, even if I don't leave this summer, I'll wait on a contract. I'm going to Real Madrid. Why? Because they're the best. I'm going to go. I'm going to go to there. Look at Jude Bellingham,
the best in class.
When Jude Bellingham was leaving Dortmund, he's going to go to Liverpool. And remember, join up with Trent Alexander-Arnold, right? No, he's like, I'm going to Real Madrid. Why? Because I'm going to win Champions League this season, La Liga and Champions League. Because then that's what they do. That's how you get the best. It's almost like it's like a chicken and egg kind of situation, isn't it? In that regard, because you're going, how do you become best in class? You've got to be the best in class to attract the best in class talent first.
Exactly.
So this is why this season is quite important. There needs to be, like I said, some kind of buy-in on the pitch that players and agents and whoever can look at going, I tell you what, actually, Man United are moving now.
And you have to be able to create your own superstars as well. Because as much as Real Madrid do what they do, they also, and Barcelona at some points, they also unearth their own or get or bring in players that weren't superstars before they came in, and then now they are. So you look at, you know, the likes of Vinny, you look at, you know, Rodrigo, you know, players like that. They're players that, you know, when Vinny was brought in to Real Madrid, he wasn't this. He wasn't, you know what I mean? Then you know, then you go and get the next young up and coming. So you look at what they've done with Tchouaméni and Camavinga. They're the next young up and coming. But like you said, you've got the allure to go and nick people's players who are the next young up and coming, and they don't have to pay stupid money for them as well. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. You know. So yeah, it's a mixture of it all. So Neil says 38 days to go until we face City. 5 must signings, or we won't be any different than last season's. History says our panic window opens around 15th of August. And I suppose to a certain extent, Sunil, you're right in terms of, I'm not saying like 5 must by this time, but in terms of there needs to be a bit of a cutoff point whereby if you ain't got enough players in by then, you're right. Historically, we will panic, or we have panicked, and then we've seen how that goes. It goes down the Casemiro route, it goes down the Antony route, and others that we've done in the past. So you're right. I think that's where people are right to say, I'm just chilling out. I'm not getting too excited. Let me see how it looks, you know, on the 15th of August. You know, let me see what it looks like, you know, a couple of weeks before the window actually shuts and we're scrambling around for players. Or if we're not and we're really settled by the first game of the season, then fine.
I think that goes both ways.
I see that.
I think that goes both ways, though, either as well. Like you said, the idea of I'm not getting too excited about this stuff, but at the same time, I'm also not to being too negative about it either. I'm just being like, I'm just gonna see. Basically, I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna see what they do, and then when it comes to the end of it, like you said, if you get to that point where you're playing Manchester City in the Community Shield, and we've got one person through the door, then I think absolutely you'd be right to be going, what is going on here? What are we doing at this point? Or are any other deals close? That point. But whilst we're 38 days out from it, to sort of be looking at it going, oh, if we don't have any players by this date or whatever, then you're like, well, again, you're winding yourself up, really, aren't you? You know, so I think it's room for optimism, but also it's room for reality still. And I think that's where we need to be. We're still uncertain about what Manchester United is at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And International says, as we're not playing Euro, shouldn't we compete for the title? Do you mean as we're not playing Champions League, shouldn't we compete for the title? And, you know, for me, my answer is no. Again, what we just spoke about, we can't go from 8th to competing from the title. We can't go through what our team just actually looks like and then all of a sudden say, right, now we should be competing for the title. It's just not going to happen. International, it really isn't, in my opinion. So
some news, Flex.
Yes, let's go. What's Plettenberg saying?
Some news is from Florian Plettenberg. It is. I'm not going to press breaking news. Actually, it's not that breaking.
No, okay.
It's not. Yeah, it's not really. Florian Plettenberg has said in the last few minutes that he understands there was a personal meeting between Erik ten Hag and the management of Joshua Zirkzee in recent days. There were also direct chats between Ten Hag and the 23-year-old striker. So not only has he spoken to his management, he's also spoken directly to Zirkzee himself. Zirkzee is still a top target for the attack of Manchester United, as revealed a few days ago. Now, everything would be prepared for the player's approval, as Manchester United is willing to trigger the release clause of 40 million euros. But AC Milan is still in the race. No final decision from Zirkzee yet, as he's focused on the Euros. And again, that kind of sums up my point there a little bit. What I was saying about earlier on about this, you know, why aren't we bringing in players, blah, blah, blah. That last line is probably typical for a lot of these situations, which is they'd probably turn to their agents right now and go, cool, work on it, but don't bring it to me, basically. I'm focused on doing this. I'm here with my country, focusing on the Euros or Copa America. I'm focused on this. You sort it out in the background. And as far as his release clause, that actually only officially became active yesterday. So for all of the talk about why haven't we got, you know, these players yet, we couldn't even technically get him until yesterday because his release clause wasn't even active. I think it's active till mid-August. So Netherlands play today, don't they? Maybe this one might move quite quickly after what happens today, or maybe after the weekend. I mean, you would think they're probably going to play Austria in the quarterfinals over the weekend, and they might go out. They lost to them in the group stage.
Yeah, that's true. I think there's a bit of like how you said, there's a bit of both sides, actually. I think even with the negotiations, there's also the side of like, they are speaking to their agents. They do get a lot of downtime. The phone is ringing. What's going on with United? What did they say today? Yeah, well, I spoke to Eric. He says this. He says that. Actually, you've got a Zoom call with him later. Like they are. It's a bit of 6 to 1, half a dozen. This one, because it is harder. Oh, I can't move too much because my focus on this is not great. I need to make sure I don't move. It is harder because obviously tournaments mean like what basically everything that you said, and Dylan was alluding to it yesterday. It is harder, but there isn't like no contact available. Oh, I'm just so confused. I can't talk about like things still do progress. Like Joshua Zirkzee, again, not playing that much. He's not an integral part. Got called up late. I don't even think he's come off the bench yet, has he? So it's like he will just be going to training, doing the bike rides in the commute, like playing ping pong, like just being there and the vibes. And then when they're in their hotel room with their PlayStations that they bring in the little box or FaceTime in the family, they get a lot of downtime, especially when you're not locked in. So his agent will be talking to him. This will be working in the background. It's not like, oh, for God's sake, so now we're just definitely not going to hear anything. Like I said, if he's already had, according to Florian Plettenberg, he's already had direct talks with Ten Hag. Well, how's he had that then if he's so busy? How's he even aware of what's going on if he's so busy? Do you know what I mean? So when the Euros are on and these big things are on, it isn't like a agent blackout. My phone's off.
It's not.
Don't talk to me. It isn't. It makes things harder. Absolutely, it does. But things can still get done, especially for lower profile players as well, who don't have as much on their plate. So, like De Bruyne was saying, listen, I don't know if I'm leaving City. I'm focused on this. I've got a knockout game, And then obviously they asked him just after. He's like, it's been a long season. I need to go think. Now I'm going to speak to my family. That's different.
That journalist an idiot or something. Else stupid, didn't he? Did you see that?
Did he? No, I didn't see that. No.
Because
he asked him straight away, like, are you leaving?
No, he asked him about, he went, why did the Belgium golden generation not win anything? And then De Bruyne's response is he went, so you're saying that Germany, England, France, Portugal all also haven't had golden generations, which is a good point. Basically saying that you can't win everything, can you?
This was the Martinez thing where, again, when I was talking to Kevin Hatchard on TalkSport, just to take it off this set, when he was like, he thinks that Roberto Martinez gets a bit of a tough deal. I'm not saying I agreed with everything he said, but he just said,
I don't know.
They were terrible. But he was just saying that, like, Belgium, like, keep losing to, like, eventual winners of stuff. Like, they lost to France. Like, everyone expects them to probably lose to France. And the game was fairly competitive. Like, it was a shit game, but, like, they lost to France. France will probably win again in the next round, just like that. That's what Deschamps kind of does. And do you know what I mean? Like, it's just a bit meh. It's a bit meh. But anyway, back to our point. The Zirkzee thing of him saying, he's focused on the Euros. Players say that all the time, but the phone's going off.
It's a bit of both. It's a bit of both, isn't it? It's a bit of both. It's a bit of both. They probably will have talks, but nothing will be concluded whilst they're out there, kind of thing. Nothing will be concluded. You might not even get like a here we go. And, it's a bit like, with when we were going after Sancho in the first place, and it was quite well known he was going to Manchester United whilst he was out at the Euros with England, wasn't it? But it was like, well, it's not done. You know what I mean? It's sort of moving, but it's moving a bit slow. Like, it slows things down. That's probably the best way of saying it, isn't it? It slows things down.
That's it. Slows things down. But there could even still be a green light while he's there, though.
Absolutely, there could be. Or it depends, doesn't it? I mean, if Florian Plettenberg is saying there, like, well, Milan is still in the race. If it literally did come down to, right, we've agreed things with both of these clubs here. They're both willing to activate your release clause. There's offers on the table. Now it's up to you to decide where you're going to want to go. Then maybe he might go, actually, that's quite a big decision. I might just, can you give me like until I'm actually out of here? Because I really want to sit down with my family, and have this kind of conversation. That might be, so like the actual green light on it, might be the bit of a delay. But to your point, you could certainly probably get up to that point whilst he's out there, couldn't you? You could get up to that point and just be like, right, what do you want to do? Kind of thing.
100%. I will say this, guys, we've got over 2,000 people watching live and we've got 655 likes. Now, there's been a lot of pushing in the chat. Big up to Joe Blackman. Big up to F4. It's gone now, but was also pushing for likes as well. We can do a lot more. We can. We've been engrossed in the show, to be fair, and we haven't really pushed it. But over 2,000 people watching now, over 2,100 now, just gone over. We could get to 1,000 likes. Easy. So yeah, I think let's get on to that. I do want to talk about yesterday's game, the Portugal game. My God, let me tell you.
Oh, Flex, I saw you were very
You
active
are
on social
not
media last night.
allowed.
Well, you know what?
Oh my
I'm gonna
God.
push back on this a little bit more. One Flex, you know what? I'm gonna push back. I think that you had a bit of a poor choice of words. I think if you were to be back in that scenario again, would
Yeah.
you have used the word overhyped
Overhyped.
in
Yeah, he's
the way that
overhyped.
you
Like
said?
I probably would. Yeah. The only reason I
Really?
wouldn't is because other people would go, "You can't say that. You should go to hell."
Well,
Oh
say
my God.
say say, say the tweet you said in the first place if people didn't see
I'm
it.
just saying Ronaldo's just doing too much. He's overhyped.
Right.
Oh,
So
so they're
when you
saying
say
overhyped as in he's not that good. Right, cool.
there is natural
Jesus
confusion there.
Christ. Come
So
on.
when you say, no, but when you say the word overhyped, what is the natural thing
Yeah.
you would think of is calling someone saying they're not as good as people say that they
Right.
are. You put a
Cool.
space between that. And for me, when I would much rather say he's over emotional. He's too emotional
Yeah.
right now. He needs to calm down or whatever. When you say overhyped, and the first thing you think of is going, you said he's not as good as people say he is,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
That's yeah, okay. Fair, I'll take that. Fair
It's
point.
maybe a poor
That's not
choice
what
of
I meant.
words.
I meant because like
Or
he's
maybe
doing
not
too
clearly.
much. Yeah, well, obviously not clearly, but clearly because I'm saying it now. I'm saying that he's over emotional in the game. He just needs
Yes.
to lock in. Like
Yes.
that's what I meant. But oh no, 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 no. You must not. No, no. I'm disappointed in you. I expected better than you, you know. And it was just completely that. People just saw that I said he's overhyped and took it as like you're saying. I'm saying that he's crap.
Mm.
And there's loads of people that are saying that. There's loads of people that are really happy that he was crying. There's loads of people that can't, stand Ronaldo. I am not. I said even before the tournament. I think I said to Rory, one of William Hill show. I was like, and I said it on air. I said I'm back. I said I know that thing happened, but since that was gone, like I'm over that. I want him to go to the Euros because everyone's doubting him to have this amazing run, and obviously he hasn't scored in it yet. But you could tell he was doing too much.
He was trying too
He was
hard. I
over. He
mean,
was trying too
yeah,
hard,
you saw it in the
taking
first
all
half
the
and
free
second half.
kicks. That the record's
Yeah.
not even good at the free kicks. The one that was out far on the left, I'm like, just let Bernardo
Yeah.
Silva cross it in, Ronnie. Come on.
Yeah.
And then like when he's missing, he's just over. But listen, I was saying if anyone can do this, it's him. Like who can then score. But then again, as soon as that penalty, the first one, I had a feeling he's going to miss. I was like, I think he's over.
The thing though,
I thought he'd miss. I honestly thought he'd miss.
But it wasn't a bad penalty. It must be
No, it was
stressed.
a
Like
great save.
it was a great penalty and a great save by Oblak. And then the irony is that this is what's funny with penalty shootouts.
Second penalty is amazing.
You go out for 120 minutes, you're fighting all that kind of stuff, and the penalty shootout's done in a couple of minutes. Boom, done. Great saves by Costa in goal. Great save by Oblak for the first penalty from Ronaldo in the game. Benjamin Šeško, wow. I mean, that was as good as a penalty, really. And what a miss that was. But as far as the games yesterday, I thought both of them were actually really poor. Like I did obviously both of them, one on YouTube, one on playback for United View. Go follow. And yeah, the first game, oh my, that was the stinkiest match of football. I mean, France, but it was awful. And it actually makes you think, doesn't it, a little bit that because there's been a bit of a discussion of has this Euros tournament been any good? And there have been some very good matches, but I think the reason why some people are going, it's been a bit disappointing is the majority, not all the big teams, because you look at like Spain and Germany, but the majority
it's only Spain and Germany.
The majority of the big teams that you expected to deliver have been really lackluster and really boring and really poor. And actually, it's maybe been some of the smaller teams or more sort of dark horse teams that have been a bit more exciting. Obviously, Austria, Switzerland, those kind of teams you looked at going, actually, they've played some really good stuff. They're really exciting stuff. I think the best game of the tournament probably was Austria versus the Netherlands in the group stage. That was 3-2. And it looks like they might play in the quarterfinals once again. So that's probably part of it. But as far as Ronaldo last night, look, whenever you mention Cristiano Ronaldo, we saw it here when he left Manchester United. If you brought up his name, it generates a lot of division or a lot of there are a lot of people that are very, very firm in their backing of him, which is fine. He is one of, if not the greatest football player to ever live. He is. When you have that conversation, Cristiano Ronaldo is in that conversation. It's him. It's Messi. Maradona, Pele, like it's there, isn't it? It's top of the top.
Absolutely.
But I did watch the game last night and did think that, you have the conversation you have like when he was at Man United, didn't it? When you go, yeah, but everything's kind of pushed towards, can we get Ronaldo to score? Can we get Ronaldo to score?
That's what it was.
And then if he can't score, then it becomes a bit sort of wish-washy and not that maybe that fluid, but he's never going to be taken off because the last time someone took him off, he's not the manager anymore of Portugal at the World Cup last time. So he's just going to play, isn't he? But that's Ronaldo. But the sort of engagement farming that surrounds him on social media is mad. Because the moment Ronaldo started crying, literally, I saw Fabrizio Romano tweet twice in 5 minutes with different pictures of him crying, and you sort of go and that's where I do sympathize with him to an extent, because like when he missed the penalty, like the BBC, I don't know if you saw on the Match of the Day, it was like Mistiano Penaldo or something like that, and you still go. The people do use his name just to,
but because he's the biggest superstar in the world, though. That's just what comes with it.
I get
he's
that.
The biggest thing. And when he's doing well, he wants it all and deserves it all. Like it just, it is the nature of the beast of football. Ronaldo will know that he's been in the game over 20 years. Like he knows all of this. And like he said in his interview after, sometimes I get it wrong, sometimes I get it right. I was listening to there was a clip I saw of Roger Federer giving a talk at a university. It was so good when he was just talking about like how, a high percentage of the players, the tennis players, they only win 56% of their points, literally. Like, so how on earth do they keep going then in a game like where if you're literally only winning half the points, but you win so much more matches because you have to go? It's just the point. The elites can just go, right, I need to lock into the next, and someone like Ronaldo and Messi, they've missed penalties before. Of course they have. It happens all the time. They've run through clean on goal, should have scored, missed the time. I mean, that one on Ronaldo's left foot near the end, you're going, this is him now. That's clutch Ronaldo coming through. He didn't quite connect properly, stretching. You know what I mean? So
it looked like
he is him. He's Ronaldo. He knows this, but you're gonna get that when as soon as something happens, you're gonna get people who can't stand Ronaldo, because there's also that. There's people who can't stand him, so they're just so happy that he's upset.
And again,
and then there's the other side.
You can imagine. Look, he's and to use the word elite is probably an understatement for him. With the fact that he's still playing at 39 to the level that he is, at international level. When he missed that penalty, you could tell that maybe he thought. I think he said after the game, "It's clearly going to move my last Euros, obviously," and he probably thought like, I've screwed it up. I've missed. I'm going to go out because it's not going to be my day. So that was part of it. So,
Did you see Pepe? The way Pepe was crying as well and holding on to Diogo Costa, because he knows. He goes, listen, my career basically now would have, like, in that moment, I would have retired on the spot
with that mistake. And I'm not all for the Martin Keown commentary. I think he's quite difficult to listen to, really. But even he was saying last night, like, why on earth was Pepe on in that second half of extra time? He could barely move. And he was amazing up to that point as well. And then when Šeško like nicked the ball off him, like Pepe, he looked like, and like they're in like the boxing ring, where someone gets a big hit to the face and their legs go. His legs just went, and then he's through on goal, and it was like, but
there's another one as well. Šeško proving that he's really raw and like not, basically another Rasmus, like where it's like, chill. That's a lot of people, a lot of the Arsenal fans saying, glad we didn't get him, take it, leave him where he is, and all this stuff. And I'm not trying to, home in on the youngster and kick him while he's. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it just shows you, like, we get in these names of like, get this, that, and when you see with your eyes, sometimes of course they're not polished, not quite there yet, But
it's international football, isn't it, as well? This is also the part of it. It's like, so it's just like I said with Šeško now, because we've seen him have a high profile miss. That's it. He's shit. He's done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He might be actually really good, but people don't watch the Bundesliga every single week, but they watch that. So they saw him and went, I don't know about that. It was the same with Rasmus in this tournament. Like, he's rubbish, not that good. And you go, well, actually, last season he had a bit of a, not bad season, not great, but not bad. Yeah. So you have to be careful with international football and international.
It's the same with California as well, Owen. Obviously, he's at Bologna
really quickly, didn't they?
And he was great in the Italian team. Like, looked really good. But again, people say don't just get a player off of a tournament. And Italy weren't great, but he was good. But he's at Bologna, and he's like, okay, well,
Bologna did
everyone's
well
in for him now. Yeah, well, they finished 5th.
Well, they're suffering for their success, aren't they? Because everyone's going to be leaving now. Thiago Motta's gone to Juventus. Zirkzee is going to maybe be coming to us to AC Milan. Calafiori might be on his way out. It's victim of their own success.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Well, a big jam-packed show, guys. There was so much to get into. Of course, we're still waiting on the official confirmation for Erik ten Hag. We're still waiting on official confirmation of the backroom staff as well. We've had the Dan Ashworth one, so that one came before all of that. We're obviously hanging on in there for a here we go or a siren from Ornstein or somebody else from deep who's going to come through and said all agreed, all done. Someone Plettenberg or I don't know, Mark Vawai, I don't know, whoever Van der Kran. Where's he been actually? Someone could just come through from nowhere and be like, yeah, deal done, deal it to Manchester United, all signed and sealed, and then you'll get the big ones. We'll bring it to you as soon as we get it. Games today, Owen. What game?
There is Romania versus the Netherlands at 5, and then at 8 on playback, it's Turkey versus Turkey versus someone else.
Ralph Rangnick,
Austria. Yes, you're Austria. Right. Yes.
So I remember saying that I wanted the Turkish to be happy, but also sad at the same time. I want him to win, but I want it to be stressful where he has to lose for a bit, then he's winning, then he loses, and then maybe that because it's just funny watching. Turkish
I want Turkish to be upset, and he can, like he did at the end of the season when he broke that microphone. He's going like that. Dun dun dun. That's the title. Dun dun dun.
When Son missed that chance. All right, guys, smash the like on the video on the way out. We're out of it, man. Take care. Peace.